I guess we're broadcasting.
No
Hi,
idea.
everyone. This is Melissa with Support Fibro. We're doing a very special Facebook Live for our Support Fibro family. I'm excited to have a very special guest with us. Meshea has joined us this morning, and I'd like to just kick off this interview by having her introduce herself and then start off by talking about your fibromyalgia journey and then go into a little bit of your advocacy work, and we'll start there.
Okay, well, I've had fibromyalgia for years, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it, but I'm Meshea Crysup. I've been around for a long time on the internet, kind of in the beginning, back when it was MSN groups. I started out with FibroLife years ago. I've had fibromyalgia since I was a child. We didn't know what it was. Ended up in the medical career with a medical career in the medical field, figured out what it was, and was told by peers, "Oh, you can't tell people you have that though, because those people are crazy." And so I'm like, well, that fits me, but I do have fibromyalgia. So eventually I was diagnosed and unable to work anymore. And being a workaholic, that just didn't fit. And so once I got to where I learned to live better with fibromyalgia, I'll say better, once I got to where I could function again, because I truly got to where I couldn't. I kept pushing and kept trying to work. I was a long-term care consultant, and I just literally kept pushing until I collapsed at work. So when I say I was a workaholic, I mean it. I was a workaholic. And once I got to where I could function again, I had to feel relevant and useful. And so I bought a computer, I got online, and I started essentially blogging. We weren't using the word blog, but that's what I started doing. And I had a writers group. I wasn't just writing about fibromyalgia, but I would pop over to fibro groups and talk to people about fibromyalgia that way. And eventually formed FibroLife, which was really a different way of looking at fibromyalgia. It wasn't about filling out more forms, I felt like so many things, they just kept adding more and more layers of fibro stuff, and it took away less and less from life. And I was about less and less fibro stuff, more and more life is what FibroLife was about. And so, but I got really frustrated because I could not, I couldn't keep up with it on my own, obviously, having fibromyalgia. And I'm a big picture person. I'm not a detail person. I'm a big picture person. And I have big visions, not small ones. And I couldn't see it through on my own. And so luckily at that point in time, I had a really good friend who came into my life, my non-fibro counterpart, Kathy Keeney. And she was my co-director. And we accomplished quite a bit while we were together. Because I would be foggy, fibromyalgia, of course, you're foggy and you're unable to do things. And I could just rattle crap off, what to me was crap. And she understood what I meant. She could take it and interpret it. And she would put it down and it made sense. And when I was not foggy, I would look at it and say, "How'd you know that's what I was saying?" And she goes, "I know what Meshea speak is." and so we got a lot done. When I couldn't drive, she would drive me places so we could go to conferences, and I even got to the point where I would speak in front of people, even foggy. I got to the point where I'm like, okay, they need to see what fog looks like. And so I decided, okay, I'm just going to talk to them foggy and say, "Today you get to see what fog looks like. Ta-da, here it is." And so as long as I had her, then I could be pretty active in the fibro world and accomplish things. But then she had to actually go back to work and support her family and stuff. I mean, I don't get it, but that's, apparently that's what you have to do. I was blessed to have her. Well, I could have, but I certainly understand she did have to go back into the workforce. And then I moved. And so when I got here to Vicksburg, there wasn't a non-fibro counterpart for me. And it was really hard. I tried on my own, again, had a big vision, and I reached out to the fibro world for someone to work with. And you would think with the internet that would be easy to do, but the fibro world is a lot like me. They want to get things done, but they don't feel well. And so it's hard. We have families. We have, many of them are trying to work full-time jobs, or if they're not trying to work full-time jobs, at least part-time jobs. And so it was just really hard to get anything done. And so Vicksburg is a history area, though, and history is an interest of mine. So I ended up partnering with somebody in history and doing a history blog for about a year, and loved it, and was very glad to do it. It was a great experience. So the history community here embraced me. I embraced them, even beyond this area, and love them all. It was a wonderful experience. But being typical Meshea, I overdid it because that's what I do. I don't know. I have two gears, go and stop. And I overdid it. And I pretty much just had to stop everything. My doctors they're like, okay, stop everything. Whatever you're doing, you have to stop now. And so I took pretty much most of the year off. And while I was doing that, and once again, going through all the things you have to do when you have fibromyalgia, going back to basics, self-care, trying to balance out everything again, resting adequately, hydrating adequately, keeping yourself, limber, keeping yourself loose, all the things we have to do, things people don't see, but that we have to do. And, then we look marvelous and they think there's nothing wrong with us. I kept thinking, okay, when you get better, you're going to do something. So what's it going to be? You've got to decide. It's going to be history. It's going to be fibromyalgia. What are you going to do? And as a matter of fact, there's a big blues. We're also kind of like the home of the blues. And so I have a friend who's like, because I used to sing when I was younger, and I had a friend who's president of the Blues Society, and she's like, oh, no, you need to transition to blues. We got to get you singing. And I'm like, but what about when I fog? I can't, I'm going to get up there and fog, and you really don't want me to fog singing. And she's like, she hadn't thought about that. So as much as I love music, I can't go back to that either. So this is why I can't do anything, because I fog, and so you can't do that. You can't be dependable. You can't. So I'm like, okay, so what are you going to do? Because you're going to do something. And that's when kind of I decided, well, you can't blog because you can't sit and write. That's I'm very articulate and can speak, but I can't sit and write long things because it makes the fog worse. It makes everything worse, to be honest. And I don't have Kathy, I don't have my right hand so I can rattle stuff off and she can fix it, and I hadn't found a Kathy here. So I said, okay, you're going to have to bite the bullet and vlog. And I never wanted to do that. I don't like watching videos. I like words, but I said, okay, you're going to have to bite the bullet and vlog. And once I decided that, then I started taking a different look at social media. I started looking at it entirely differently, and realized that as a blogger and being in fibro world and in the history world as such, I wasn't looking at it exactly. I was still looking at it through maybe 20 years ago, 10 years ago lenses, and not today. And everything really is about stories. And that got me to thinking, wait a minute, how did we get there? How's everything about stories? Why is that? And that's when it hit me. And I felt kind of dumb then, because I'm like, duh, how did this not occur to you sooner? The oldest form of communication is stories. If you go back to, pre-Bible even, it was stories. They were handed down generation to generation, word of mouth, stories. And then, of course, the Bible is stories, and all old texts, were stories. And I'm like, there's a reason why social media is so story-centered now. Even your marketing, they want it to be stories. They want stories. They want to know what the chef is doing. They don't want to just know what the special of the day is. They want to see the chef in the kitchen preparing the special of the day. Yes. That's what they want to see. They don't, okay, so the special is da-da-da-da. That's boring. Well, they flip through until they see the chef cooking the special of the day, and that's the restaurant they'll go to. People want to connect. Social media has not, we've talked so many years about how social media has taken the socializing out of our lives. People are looking for ways to put that back. And I think that's what the stories are all about. And then I got to watch, I'm a news junkie, if you can believe that or not. I'm a news junkie. And so I got to looking all the news shows now, the story, the big story, the something story, and I'm like, so it's not just social media and how, so stories really do matter. So I got to thinking about that too. And I was kind of infamous in the fibro world for not being, maybe I was a little too harsh on people sometimes, because it seemed to me in fibro world, everyone wanted to make it out that we had it worse off than anybody else. And they got really touchy if we didn't think we had it worse off than anybody else. And I would be like, no, we don't. There are people worse off than we are. And that didn't go over necessarily well. And I'm trying to be fast. Sorry about that. And my point with that was not that we don't have it bad. Fibromyalgia is bad, especially because people don't understand it. It is invisible. All invisible illnesses are very hard. So I'm not downplaying what we have by any means. It certainly is rough. However, we needed to not stay in our world and just see it from that standpoint. We needed to step out of that and look at the world bigger, so that we did see and didn't just get in that little box about how bad our world was. And so that's kind of when it hit me that I didn't want to just do one kind of story. I didn't want to just do fibromyalgia or history. I wanted to do stories in general, because I wanted people, I wanted everyone relating. I felt like if I did stories on everyone, that fibro people could hear, say, an entrepreneur's story, and they could be inspired and empowered and motivated by it. And frequently, an invisible illness will enter into stories that other people tell. And if it does, fine. And if it doesn't, then that's fine too. That story is still relevant. And then I could also talk to fibro people, and their stories are inspiring and motivating and empowering. So I don't see what I'm doing, whether I'm talking to a blues singer or somebody in the world of history, an entrepreneur, somebody in social work. I have a friend that has a nonprofit for homeless vets. I have a friend that runs a tour business over in Africa. I can't wait to talk to him. I have another friend that writes sci-fi books. Can't wait to talk to him. He also does motivational self-empowerment quotes and stuff. So, there are all kinds of people out there, and just everyday people I want to talk to. And I think that putting all these stories out there, there's something for everyone. And I think what we're going to find is, whether it's what seems to be a big life or a small life, and that's very subjective, what's a big life or a small life. I think we're going to find that there's inspiration, motivation, and empowerment in all of them, and something for all of us. And I think that we need to step outside of just invisible illness and chronic pain, and take what we can get from other parts, from other people's stories. And I think in doing so, then our story will get to them as well. And I think that's a way of our becoming more real to them, is by us embracing them as well. So I don't really see it as operating outside of fibro world at all. I see it as just merging the whole world together. It's kind of a kumbaya moment here.
I love the idea of people raising their voices to share a story. So let's run with this a little bit more. Okay. Do you have advice for anyone out there to just get started? Because it's not, like you mentioned, it's not fibromyalgia, just fibromyalgia, but there's so many amazing people out there who want to share their experience in order to help. And a lot of conversation has even come up lately with mental health and those things. Wow. Do you have any advice for people on just how to get started?
It's what you're comfortable with. Truly, it's what you're comfortable with. Not everyone is comfortable with talking openly. Some people want to talk anonymously, and if that's what they want to do, then go on to forums and remain anonymous. There's a lot of forums out there where you can do that. In the beginning, that's kind of how it all was. And for years, that's what I did. I remained very anonymous, and then I wrote under a pen name for years. There was a long time you could Google stuff and look for Alexandria Jordan. That was me. It doesn't come up anymore. That was years and years ago. But my dad even knew who that was, and he'd never been near a computer, but my dad knew. That kind of blew my mind. So I wrote under a pen name for years too. But the other things you can do, then just write if you want to write or if you want to speak. I mean, social media is certainly there. You can do YouTube. I mean, we carry these phones around with us everywhere. So, I mean, you can go live on anything now. I'm amazed at the things you can go live on. Apparently, I've seen the commercial. Apparently, you can talk to the ice maker and it'll order you a pizza. I mean, it's amazing what we can do with devices. But there are other ways. You can talk to groups, talk to church groups, talk to Rotary Club. I've talked to Rotary clubs. They like to hear things like that. Just be willing to talk. What I have found is that, and I use husbands as an example, not to pick on husbands, but it's because so many women do have fibromyalgia, and fibromyalgia is what I've mostly dealt with. And also fathers with their daughters, same thing. We tend to listen to people outside of our small circle more than we do the people within our circle. So whereas a father might listen to me talk about fibromyalgia, he won't listen to his daughter. But then when he hears me talk about it, he's like, I've heard my daughter say that. And then it's more believable to him. So I think we have to open up. That's why I'm so open about it. It's not, I pretty much meet people and within 5 minutes, they know I have fibromyalgia. And it's not because I'm proud of having it. And it's not because I want to announce that I have it. It's because I'm so open about having it. I want them to see that, I still function, and that sometimes I don't function. And because so many people have fibromyalgia, I want them to take what I am and how I am, and I want them to apply that to the people they know so that they understand. And frequently within the next 5 minutes, they're like, I have a friend who has that, and she says and does that stuff, and I never understood it or never believed her but what you're saying makes sense now, or you just did such and such, and she does that, and now I understand why. And so my husband, he's kind of put off by it. He's like, I don't know why in the world you do that stuff. And I'm like, I do it because we have to make people aware. It's not about me. I don't care if people know I have fibromyalgia or don't know I have fibromyalgia. I mean, we can talk about anything. We can talk history. We can talk music. We can do whatever you want to do. We don't have to talk fibromyalgia, but it just happens to be something that, it's a part of my life, and it's people need to know about it. So that's, I think, just look for opportunities. Opportunities are everywhere. Dinner parties. But at the same time, don't impose it on people who don't want it. Whenever I can sense when there are people who are not open to hearing about it, and I just don't bring it up then. But just be open, be open to it, and ask. Just ask people. Say, I want to share what's going on with me. Do you have any suggestions? And you'd be amazed at what people say. We've been looking for somebody to talk to us about that. We've been looking for someone. Then there are organizations like yours. I know you're always looking for people. So reach out to these organizations. Don't be afraid to. I wasn't. I'm not shy about anything. But reach out to the organizations on a local level, on a national level even. I mean, they'll point you in the right direction. That's kind of my advice, is just don't be shy. Just get out there and what you're going to find is you're going to feel better because you're doing it. I'm not saying it's going to make you well. It's not. And you can overdo it and you can overexert yourself, and certainly don't do that. Don't be me. Don't do that. But it's going to make you feel better about yourself, and it's going to give you some sense of self-esteem again and self-empowerment again. And it will make you feel better if all you do is maybe you're just a support person in some way.
I love the advice that you just gave too with being local. So you don't necessarily have to be on social media doing the same like Facebook Live interviews, but you can start locally in your own community. And I think that's why we've talked about the Fibromyalgia Tour and going around the country and getting people empowered in their local community has just get started. So I love the advice that you gave. And, slow baby steps, because I know some of us, like myself, don't exactly feel comfortable on Facebook Live. But if you put me in front of a local group, it's very different. And I can talk nonstop about fibromyalgia. So I love that piece of advice about that you just gave. So it's important for people to know that there's different opportunities out there. So thank you for sharing that with us.
Well, you're welcome. I think opportunities are always out there. It's a matter of looking for them. And I know people with fibromyalgia don't feel well, and lots of times don't have the energy or don't feel like they have the energy to put into that. So sometimes it might be a way to feel better, actually, is to choose. We have to choose what we do with our energy. That is one of the things that I do, is I choose where I put my energy. In order to do this, I have to choose not to do other things. And that's one of the things that I really try to educate people on. That's one of the things I talk about a lot when I say I have fibromyalgia, is I bring that up. I'm like, you see me this way today because I'm choosing to put my energy into being able to do this. And so I guess my suggestion is, if somebody really thinks they want to be involved, understand you're going to have to choose to put your energy into that. And make sure that that is a choice you can make. I mean, don't choose that over your own health. And I'm guilty of that sometimes. And I've talked to you, and I know you're a little guilty of that too. But that's kind of the overachiever, workaholic in us. And and partner yourself with someone who will remind you. My husband is really good. He'll say, "Do you think that's really smart?" And I'm like, "Oh, probably not." Partner yourself with someone. Get yourself a buddy that will draw you back. I have friends that, as a matter of fact, last week I had 2 friends that both looked at me and said, "Go home, take a nap right now." I mean, both of them walked me to my car, said, "Go home, take a nap right now." And they were right. And I did. And I slept like 24 hours.
We have a mutual friend, Tammy Stockelhouse, who I've been learning from quite a bit when it comes to self-care, because yes, you just push yourself to the brink and just keep going, because we're so passionate about helping the fibromyalgia community. So I've really had to learn from her, and she's a great example of implementing self-care in your life and getting to the end. I know that you know all this stuff too. So do you have any advice for, I guess, what you've learned, maybe even if it's one tip on like how to implement self-care?
Do not let yourself believe you're being selfish for doing self-care. It is not selfish. If you don't take care of yourself, you're not good to anyone. And that is not a cliche. It's just the truth. If I don't take the time to rest adequately, I'm not any good to my husband. I'm not any good to my mother, to my boys when they're around. I'm not any good to my friends. I can't accomplish anything for the people that I want to accomplish things for. And what it does is it snowballs back on me. I start feeling worse about myself because I'm not accomplishing anything. And then my health spirals downward because of it, because my self-esteem goes down. And as your self-esteem goes down, it's a downward spiral. So self-care is not selfish. It's the best thing you can do, not only for yourself, but for the other people in your life.
That's wonderful advice. And I know I've been trying to work. I see that 20-year-olds and 30-year-olds with fibromyalgia, and I really have a lot of compassion, or even teens. And this is just trying to give them a sense of hope. Do you have any sort of message for them with like growing up? Because I know we both have had illnesses since our very young age. Is there any like tip that you can offer them?
Wow.
I know it's a very long-winded question, but I'm trying to definitely reach them and inspire them, and I let them know that we're out there and we're working hard to change things for them.
Absolutely. I want to say, don't sell yourself short, and don't tell yourself that there's anything that you can't do because you have this illness. We certainly all have limitations. I guess that's my thing. That's kind of my message always in the fibro world, and that's kind of where I started to begin with. And that when I said I was kind of infamous, everyone has limitations. It's not just us. Everyone has limitations. So just because you have fibromyalgia and you're young, it doesn't mean that you have any more limitation than anyone else has. We all have limitations. So if you have an invisible illness of any kind and you're young, don't let that make you feel like you're so different than everyone else. Look at how people handle other limitations that they have, and then get creative with how you overcome it. If you really want to accomplish something, you'll find a way. I was 14 years old in an abusive home in the middle of Timbuktu. got on the phone and had an appointment in Nashville to go make a record when my parents got home one evening. They got home from work and I said, gotta be in Nashville, da-da-da-da-da, because I'm going to make a record. And I had fibromyalgia at that time too. That was just simply drive, ambition, determination, and I put a lot of work into developing the talent. So what I'm saying is, it's not confined to fibromyalgia. There are lots of things that can limit you. So don't just look at yourself as, oh my God, I have fibromyalgia, I'm limited. We all have limitations. So just look at your situation and what you want to do and determine what those limitations are, and then start getting creative with ways to overcome them. The creativity I did is I found a local DJ, and he was aspiring to become a manager, and I became friends with him. So, and we became really good friends. And the next thing I know, he's starting a talent agency, and I was the first person he managed. So that's how I did it. So there's always ways. You just have to get creative. So don't get locked into, oh my God, I have an invisible illness, I have fibromyalgia. Yes, it's bad. It's bad. It is. It sucks to have fibromyalgia, especially when you're young, because people don't understand it, and it is limiting. But there are all kinds of limitations out there, all kinds. Just get creative with it. And if you really want something, then do what it takes to have it. It takes work, it takes effort, and it takes choosing to put your energy into it. And we have limited energy, so you're going to have to choose. It's going to take self-discipline. I mean, you're going to have to discipline yourself. This is what I want. This is what I have to put my energy into. And that's the choices we have to make. But that's the choices everyone has to make. Everyone only has X amount of energy, not just us, everyone. So, and that's kind of always been my message in the fibro world, is we're not that different. We have less energy, but our X is less, but everyone only has so much. So we just have to be more careful with ours. So yes, you're going to have to be more careful and more selective and maybe a little more creative, but that just makes what you're doing, it's going to matter so much more to you. So it's going to be that much sweeter in the end. So just go for it. You can do it. And look for people who've already done it and ask them for advice. I bet they'll be glad to help you out. And if you want a music career, unfortunately, DJs don't talk to you on the phone and stuff anymore, but get on YouTube, because apparently that's all you have to do now is get on YouTube. Social media answer.
I love the advice you get. And every time we talk, there's new information that comes out. We probably could talk forever, and just, especially about your music background. I used to work in the music industry too. So I think we're going to have a separate conversation about that, and just talk about, it's incredible. I just keep learning new things about you each time. So I appreciate you joining us today. Now, before we end, I want you to let everyone know how we can find you on social media and how to support you. So.
Okay, well, the website now is meshea.net, MESHEA.net. On social media, you can find me kind of everywhere. The new Facebook page is Every Life is a Story by Meshea. But if you just put in Meshea, MESHEA, you'll find me. I have FibroLife. I have MesheaCrysup.com, and then there's just me, and it's all linked together. So all those things will get you to the same place, because I link everything together. And I share everything, so it's all linked together. I'm not hard to find. On Instagram, I am Meshea. On Twitter, I am Meshea, and that's because I just think we should own who we are. I want to be I am Meshea on Facebook, and I think on one of the things they let me. So I'm on somewhere on Facebook. I am Meshea, so it's MESHEA. So I'm not hard to find. If you can spell my name, you can find me. MESHEA. I'm pretty easy to find. And to support me, really, it's just, it's taking a little bit to get the stories off the ground. You got to edit these things. Can you imagine that something I do has to be edited? Who knew? So it's taken a little bit, but I'm really going to go, I think, to this format. This has been really eye-opening to me. I've sent you a message about that, and I think I'm going to enjoy it. But I do have a couple of stories in the can, and another one I'm doing Saturday. So I'm really trying desperately. But what I am doing in the meantime is I'm pretty much daily going on and posting a little inspirational type blurb, because my point with Every Life is a Story is not just about the individual stories and inspiring by sharing other people's stories, but to point out that each life is a story, and that we choose how we write our own. We choose our own reactions, and we choose our own paths that way. We might not be able to choose exactly all the parameters of our life, but we can certainly choose our reactions, so we can write ourselves a better day every day. We can write ourselves a great day every day, within the parameters, whatever they may be. We can make things better. And so I try to inspire people with that every day. And so if you can spell my name, Meshea, you can find me.
That is, and I'll definitely add the description. I'll put all the links in the description, because I think when we restarted the broadcast, all of the things I have to rewrite it now. So I'm going to add all of that. I'm going to tag your pages so that way people can find you. And I'm going to keep watching your videos. And I think we should tell people too, for the videos, they can get notified every time that you go live. And are you posting only the videos on Facebook?
I do have a YouTube channel. The little bitty snippets I'm doing, I'm not putting on the YouTube channel right now, because I mean, there's like, some of them are 30 seconds, some of them are a minute and a half. And to be perfectly honest, I like pop over the hill in Vicksburg, and I see the two steamboats that are in town for the day, for the tourism, and I tear up, because I love history, and so I jump out and I do my little video. Not everybody wants to see that, and I get that, but because it makes me, it is very moving to me, and then I get all inspired, and I tell people, and you can choose it, and I talk about how even towns have stories, and so no, I'm not putting those. It's the stories that people do. And I will put, when I do sit down and do anything in depth, I'm going to do some music. I am going to sing some. I actually developed stage fright, and that's kind of that's kind of because of the fog. And because I did run into some negativity with some people in my life that were kind of negative about just not liking the kind of music that I did, and there were people that were close to me, and that just really hurt me. And so, and there again, it was, I have to choose to write my own story, and I'm sorry that they don't like it, but they don't have to like the kind of music I do. I've done it my whole life, and I'm not the best in the world, but I am decent at it, and so I'm not going to be afraid to sing. So I am going to sing some, and so see, it's been a process, but I'm reclaiming that part of my life. And not because I'm not what I was when I was 14 by any means, but I'm reclaiming it because that's part of my story, and so I'm going to do it because I own that, and that's it's the right thing for me to do. So I'm one of those strong-willed, independent, by golly, you're not going to push me around people, that sometimes it just takes me a bit to get my, so, but I like to inspire other people to be that way too. So
that's fantastic. And not to put you on the spot, but we have a fibromyalgia tour that we're trying to get going more. So if we definitely would love to stop in and visit you, but fibromyalgia tour was connected with the music industry. So if you perhaps want to do something that involves you singing, we can talk more.
Yeah, I got your message about, I'd love for you to be more involved. And I keep, you've got me. You just tell me what you want me to do, and we'll work something out. My strengths, my weaknesses. I can't be real detailed, and but big picture stuff, and show up here, and I gotta have lots of rest beforehand. what do you want me to do? let's just do this. I'm ready to embrace it. When I got your message and you told me what all had been going on, I was kind of like, wow, yeah. So yeah, let's do this. I'm ready to do this. I've been kind of scared to be honest. You know, Miss Fearless here is not always fearless. It's been it's been kind of overwhelming. I wasn't quite sure. Okay, should I do this or should I not do this? But yeah, let's do it.
Well, we're glad that you are doing this and moving this forward and representing our community as well and representing other communities. So it's exciting, and I'm glad that we got a chance for you to be on our Facebook Live today to our Support Fibro family out there. So thank you so much. And again, I'm going to include all the links in the description, but I hope everyone out there has enjoyed this conversation, and you're going to hear more from Meshea very soon, I'm sure. Bye, everyone.
Bye.